Well, here we are with the warm-up. Go ahead and check your work. 644, $7.50, 25. 18 times 2 is 36, so 1/2, 60, 35. And the way we do this, I'm not sure if you got this, but you go ahead and start out like they say. Go 8 times 4 is 32, minus 2 is 30, divided by 3 is 10, times 4 is 40, divided by 5 is 8, plus 1 is 9, square root of that is 3, times 6 is 18, plus 2 is 20, times 2 is 40, plus 2 is 42, divided by 6 is 7, times 5 is 35, plus 1 is 36, square root that, and you get 6. Whew! Fun. Now we're going to jump into the lesson, and this should be pretty review. We're just practicing reading graphs. You see this on the Iowa test a lot, and it's a good skill to have to be able to read charts. So this is a pictograph, meaning there's pictures, and these represent donut sales, and they always have a title, usually a key down at the bottom. I think what I meant, this is supposed to have the picture. That represents 10,000 donuts. Not one donut, but 10,000 donuts. So if we look at about how many donuts were sold in March, we look here, and each donut is about 10,000. Half of a donut is 5,000. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 50,000 plus 5,000. So we have 55,000 donuts were sold in March. About how many donuts were sold in the first 3 months of the year. So we go, okay, January, February, March. So what they're asking is about how many donuts total were basically sold on this chart. So let's count them up. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 10,000s, and 1 5,000. So 15 10,000s. Oops. Let me write that the right way. 15 10,000s. So really think about it that way. That's 150,000, isn't it? Plus another 5. So that would make it 155,000 donuts. Wow, that's a lot of donuts. All right, turn the page and we get a new chart. This is a bar graph. Get it? Bars, and it's a graph. This is the number of aluminum cans collected by each child. And that's all we know. So I guess children are collecting cans, right? And they always have a key or a title on the side. And the bottom, we notice we're talking about 5 children. Anne got about 500 cans. Brad got 800. Carol got 900, and Dominic got 400. How many cans did Brad collect? 800 cans. So they always have like a straightforward question and then something that they want you have to do a little more problem solving for. Carol collected about as many cans as what other 2 children combined. So if Carol got 900, you can even write it just to keep track. What 2 people together made about 900? Well, Dominic is 400, Anne did 500, so together we would say Anne and Dominic. Now we have a line graph, and this graph shows Paul's test scores during the year. And it looks like here, these are the percents that he got, or the scores, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. It doesn't say percent, so we can't assume that. And this is his first test, second test, and so on. what was Paul's score on test number 3? So you go to number 3, and we come up and see, okay, what was his score there? And notice it's not always obvious because we're going to have to like say about. It's not going to be, graphs aren't always, you don't always have a perfect answer. Now, I believe when I wrote this, I was trying to have this be exactly halfway. So I would say the book has 75, but I don't have it quite halfway. So maybe we would say 74. And that's okay if we kind of have to guess. Because these are, when you have to use just your eye to make a decision, it's going to be roughly. In general, were his scores improving or getting worse? Now, what you want to do is look, are we going uphill? In general. So if we were to draw, this is called if we were to draw like that, we notice that there is a tendency to going up. So he is generally improving. And now we're on example 4. It's a circle graph. And this is CJ, how CJ spends his day. As you can see here, we've got different sectors. Altogether, how many hours are included in this graph? So what you need to do is add up all these. Don't assume it's 24. It should be 24 because it's a day, right? But I would double check. So 5 plus 4 is 9, 10, 11, 12, 16, 24. Yes, good. 24 hours. What fraction of his day? So when you're doing circle graphs, you're going to have to notice that a lot of times you need to figure out the total like we did, and then find fractions from that. So what fraction of his day was spent sleeping? All right, 8 hours. So 8 out of 24, but what we do is always reduce that. So about a third of his day was spent sleeping. In fact, most of us, that should be how we use our time. So isn't that interesting? That's a third of your life. All right, practice. Go ahead and do these and then check your answers in the book, or if you get stuck, which I don't think you will on this one, but if you did, go ahead and turn this on and see how you do. All right. How many more donuts were sold in February than in January? So we go back to our donut picture, which is just beautiful. Don't you love donuts? And how many more were sold in February than in January? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 4. So 60,000, 40,000. So just to give you a visual, it's 60. And you know what you can say? K. That means thousand. 60K minus 40K. Just want you to know what that means when you see it. That means 1,000. And that's because K is kilo, right? Kilo means 1,000. So 60 Ks minus 40 Ks equals 20,000 donuts. Were sold in February than in January. I wonder if it's because it's Valentine's Day. Maybe that's it. Donuts are what people like. Who knows? All right, aluminum cans. How many aluminum cans were collected by all 4 homerooms? So we go back to this. So I guess we're dealing with school. We didn't know that. So we're going to add 500 plus 800 plus 900 plus 400. So we already knew this was 900. That's 900. 1800 plus 8. So that would be 2,400 or 2,400. No, sorry, 2,600 cans when we add all that up. On which test was Paul's score lower than his score on the previous test? We'll notice here he had a dip. So test 4, he improved on everybody except test 4. He took a little dive. So Test 4, he did not improve from the previous test. So, test number 4. And what fraction of CJ's day was spent performing chores? Now, I thought this was kind of funny because this is so not true. If you're talking about my household, where we have a CJ living at our house, and he's 5, and I believe his day is not spent with this big of a fraction doing chores. So out of 24 hours, 4 hours, that is 1/6 of his day was working on chores. So, all right, fun lesson. Love pictures and love reading graphs. So be on your way. Have a good day.